What's up, you guys?
What's up, you guys? So I'm here with the new video today. I'm here to bring you guys my updated ALTERGEIST deck profile for the September 2018 ban list. This is a deck you guys requested. I posted in the community tab. This was the deck you guys wanted to see the most. I know you guys are probably tired of seeing Pure Sky Strikers, ALTERGEIST, Trick Stars, etc. But right now, that's what our current format is. I don't play Goki, so unless I do it on DN or any of the platforms, you won't really see an in real life Goki deck profile unless I can find someone that'll do it for me. With their Goki deck. But right now, this is another deck I have on the side next to Mech Knights. And this is a deck I actually really like. I think that this deck is really underrated, and I think that people just don't account for this deck, and I feel that because of that, they get punished when they play against it. I myself have lost to it in the past for not, taking into consideration. I never made that mistake again, and then I, of course, played the deck, learned to love it, and I think it's a really cool deck. This is one of the versions of the deck I have laying around. You'll see that this deck actually plays a real extra deck. It doesn't play any Cherries targets. The reason why I did that is I felt that the Cherries targets mostly were only for Goki, and I wanted to actually just have like pretty much an open toolbox at my disposal with this deck, because I think this deck has the potential to do a lot of things if you pilot it properly. It got top 4 at the 200th YCS. I feel the deck's really good. This is just one version of it. I'll talk about where I got a lot of the card ideas, because I've been watching a lot of the deck profiles from ALTERGEIST to get some ideas for it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more deck profiles like this, be sure to smash that like button. 50 plus likes lets me know you enjoy it. So without further ado, we will get into my ALTERGEIST list for the September 2018 ban list and for the month of October. So we start with, of course, the basics. 3 Marionette. This card's amazing. Summon it, set a ALTERGEIST trap. Its second effect is actually where the card really shines, being able to swap an ALTERGEIST card on the field and in the graveyard, and it gets your plays going. I really like this card. I feel that being able to utilize its second effect is what makes this card just so powerful. 3 Marionette, the card that made the deck insane. You want to be resolving this card pretty much every turn, your opponent's turn, your turn, etc. This combo actually works really well with Marionette. If you have a Multi-Faker in grave, you can target itself or target another ALTERGEIST card, swap out for the Multi-Faker. The Multi-Faker will trigger and it will special summon another ALTERGEIST from the deck in defense mode. I think this is what really brought the deck into the main light. You guys already know that. And of course, to round out our 3-ofs, we have probably my favorite ALTERGEIST, which is ALTERGEIST Mulliseek. I think this card just does everything, being able to attack directly, being able to spin a card, and being able to, then be linked into Linkuriboh, or being able to search for an ALTERGEIST monster. You guys know the combo, summon it, swap into Linkuriboh, get your Multi-Faker, start your plays. I know that this play is risky now because of Ash Blossom, but it's still just another amazing play you could do, and you don't always have to do it. You can always just kind of just spin away a card, and you can go into Hexia, and that play is still really strong because you can have the Hexia, and even if they ash this, like, it's not it doesn't gain as much value as it does when they hit the Linkuriboh. So this card's really good, and if you do resolve the Linkuriboh, being able to swap Linkuriboh, being able to swap for this and vice versa is amazing. You really need to know how to manage this card, because this card is just easily one of the best monsters in the deck. Those are our 3-ofs. For the 2-ofs, 2 copies of Silicoides. You never want to play 3. You never really want to draw this card, unfortunately, but this card is your Kieran of the deck. This and Multi-Faker is what makes the deck roll. Being able to bounce the Multi-Faker back, being able to bounce one of your opponent's monsters is really strong. I really like this card. I think a lot of people just, you hate to draw it. Its other effect is pretty cool, too. If it goes to the graveyard, you can target a trap and then add it to your hand. So your traps pretty much float. Like, this entire deck floats, and I think that's what I really like about it. And that's what is one of the reasons why I chose to pick it up, is it's one of those decks that everything floats, and being able to search everything, being able to recur everything is just what makes for a really long grind game if you need to get into it. And I really like this aspect of the deck, and I really like Silicoides. I just never want to draw it. And then the last monster I feel is just staple is the one Kinkiri. I know Adrian, who took top 4 at the Columbus, didn't play it, but I love this card. I think this card does so much. As long as you have an ALTERGEIST guard, you special it, negates an attack and negates a monster's effect, or negates a card on the field. That's just so ridiculous. I think people forget that it's a line of text reads. You can target one face-up card your opponent controls. It's not just a monster, it's a card, and you can negate it. Well, this card's face up on the field. Well, it's got 2,400 defense, so that's going to take a while for your opponent to clear. So you can turn off floodgates, which I think is really good with this card. So I feel this card is just staple in the deck. So those are the main ALTERGEIST monsters. It doesn't really change. I believe it's a staple 12 ALTERGEIST monsters that you always play. And then just for the hand traps, I'm only playing 3 Ash. I noticed this has become the new common trend with Altergeist. While I do really like Ghost Ogre, I feel the problem with Ghost Ogre is that unfortunately it loses hard to midfield breaker. And in all honesty, you're only really using Ogre in specific scenarios. You're only using it against pure Sky Striker for the multi-roll. You're only using it against Gokis for Firewall or for Summon Sorceress. A lot of times if they have midfield breaker, that card's just dead in your hand. I've told you guys a million times how many times I've lost to mid-breaker field. It's just not even funny. I haven't been able to beat that card yet, but it's nuts. And I feel that Ash just covers more cards. I noticed this was the trend, so I'm trying it out, and so far it's actually been really good. You want to see your Altergeist cards, that's how you play them. You can counter pretty much everything with your Altergeist engine, so I feel by lowering the amount of hand traps, you're able to see more of your Altergeist cards, more of your traps, and get more of the main theme of the deck going. So that's it for the monsters. It's only 15 monsters. Again, if you don't like Ash, if you don't want to run Ash, you can run other hand traps. I know people have gone as far as to run Gamma. You can run Ogres. You can run whatever you want. I just don't suggest running Droll and Lockbird. I don't think that card is good in this deck. I think Droll is a fine hand trap. It's not the best, but it's just we don't put lethal damage on board that often with Altergeist, so you really don't want to give your opponent any more turns. So that's the reason behind that. For the spells, I got this idea from Bowden, and it's to main deck 3 copies of Shared Ride. Originally, I had a build with 2 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and that's another build I'll be sure to show you guys, but it's in my side deck now. I actually put 2 Village, 2 Multiverse, yeah, what is it, Multiverse or whatever it is, the trap card that basically activates the village from the deck. But I really like Shared Ride. The reason is pure Sky Striker is everywhere. The 200th YCS didn't show you that. I don't know what else will. And this is like Max C. This is like another hand trap basically. Like the 3 ogres basically been swapped for 3 spell versions of Max C. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Slim, this card sucks if I go second. Well, you know, we're a going first deck, and we really do strive to go first. And this card has just been so solid across the board because pure Striker can't kill you turn 1, so even if you're going second, if you draw the Shared Ride, you're able to get some value of it later in the game. And I just like what it can do because it can stop pure Striker, and then you bring that deck's tempo down to your tempo, and then you always win because you're a trap deck and you just have a bunch of negates, so it's pretty crazy. I think this card is amazing, and I feel most decks are going to consider this a staple for the format. This is your maxi of the format. And then just 2 Desires. I love Desires. I always love Desires. It's fine in this deck. You play so many 3-ofs. And the worst thing that honestly happens if you banish the 3-of, which is really mathematically like very, very slim to happen, and also if you banish both Silicoitus, but a lot of times you're going to resolve Multi-Faker and, you know, do your plays ahead of time. Another thing with Desires is a lot of times, you know, you don't have a play. And I know what you guys are thinking, well, why would you risk, you know, losing cards to Desires? Well, you have Desires in your hand, and 4 other cards don't really do that, you know, aren't letting you play Yu-Gi-Oh! If this card lets you draw 2 at the cost of banishing 10 and lets you play Yu-Gi-Oh!, it has high value, so that's why I play it. That's it for the spells. I didn't play Duality. I like Duality for what it does for the side deck, but I don't really like it that much in general. I think Desire is just a better card because you can just draw. It has no restrictions, and I just want to be able to play my game, and I want to be able to special summon every turn because I feel that's how you win the game. Being able to summon Multi-Faker every turn between you and your opponent is fantastic. So that's it for the spells. The rest of the deck is traps. That's right. We're playing a trap deck, so welcome to my trap deck. So traps. 3 impermanents. This is a staple in this deck. No deck plays it better. This card has an insane price tag. I don't think at times it's worthy of that price tag. This is just a trap version of Effect Veiler. However, this card with Multi-Faker is game damn near every time. It's insane. And this card does get a lot of value in this deck. I feel that you have to play it. It being your other hand trap in the deck. I kind of look at, like I said, Shared Ride as being a hand trap. So having 3 impermanents, 3 Shared Ride, and 3 Ash is like having 9 hand traps. So this card I feel is a staple, and a lot of people will say, well, can I play the deck without it? You can try, but most pro players and most players who have played this deck say without having a permanent, you can't successfully, you cannot, I think the best way to say it is play Altergeist to its full potential, and I feel this card brings out its full potential, so I feel it's a staple at 3. I play 3 Strike. I love this card. This card is so good against like damn near everything. It's so good in the mirror. It's so good against pure Striker. You just strike the Kagari, their turn ends. They don't float to Ray, so I really like that about this card. I feel it's staple. You guys will see I'm playing all the Solemns actually in this build. Another thing I took away from the YCSs from the week, from the 200th weekend was the main decking 3 copies of Heavy Storm Duster. This card, is like your Twin Twister, but it's a trap, and it triggers Multi-Faker, and you don't discard a card, and it's so good against the Mirror Match, it's so good against Pure, it's so good against everything damn near except Goki. Like, it sucks against Goki, but it has value against everything else. The one thing this card can do against Goki that I really like if you're going first is this is your out to midfield breaker, because midfield breaker beats me every time. So, I really like Storm Duster. I think this is definitely going to be a staple card either in the main deck or side deck for the format. Pretty much every deck at the YCS 200th had copies of this either in their main or side, so I think this card is just really, really good. And I think it plays really well in Altergeist, so that's why we are playing it. This, along with Molaseek, just clears a lot of problematic cards away, so I highly suggest you try it. I first saw it in Bowden's list. I saw it in some of the other top 16 lists and from the YCS in Europe, and I think it's an excellent call to main deck it right now with all this Pure Striker running around. So that's it for, I guess, so to speak, the normal traps. Then you have the Altergeist traps. Personal spoofing, you guys know how good this is. If it said Altergeist spoofing, this card would be probably limited to 1. 2 protocol, card's good. And just 1 manifestation. I've gone back and forth with 2 manifestation, 1 manifestation. At the end of the day, I like 1 manifestation. I think one of the best points that was brought up is that you need cards in the grave for this to go, meaning you need cards already in play to make this card live, whereas these other cards can just play. And that's the thing, is that I'd rather have the opportunity to play every turn and then not rely on a card that needs other cards for setup. So I think 1 is fine. You can try 2 if you want, especially since you're playing Desires, but I'm not playing 3 Desires, so I feel that the ratio is correct. I've seen this ratio become pretty popular, so I think it's really good. And just other traps. So I'm playing 2 Rivalry. I cut this from 3 to 2. I don't think this card is as good as it once was. I feel like with Goki kind of like not as represented, this card may not be as good. I still wanted to play it though, because I still feel that if you play against Goki, obviously this card is insane, but it has value against Sky Strikers. You can just flip it and Ray can't tag out. They're basically stuck on 1 monster, and if you're summoning Multi-Fakers, you're summoning Marionetters, you're summoning Molaseek, you're summoning all these things, and you're clearing their board, you know, especially with Molaseek, they can't tag into Ray, and I feel that that's how you swing the tempo in your favor. So playing just 2 copies of this, you don't have to play it. People have tried Mind Crush. I just don't like Mind Crush right now in the main deck. I haven't had success with it. I know some people have. I feel it's definitely a side deck card, but for right now, I'm trying the 2 Rivalries. If through more testing I notice it isn't as good, I might swap to either Anti-Spells or Mind Crushes in the main. So Rivalries. And then I'm playing the last 2 Solemns, the 1 Judgment and the 1 Warning. These cards have really gone up in play. They're just so good against everything. They really are. Let's face it. The Solemn package has always been good. I think people are more scared because of the time rules and, like, you know, losing in time. But I feel like for game 1, these cards are insane. Like, I mean, this answers anything. This answers damn near anything. Strike answers all the effects. Like, you just stop everything and you win the game because of it. And you can trigger Multi-Faker. Like, I feel there's really no downside to these outside of time. And then, of course, the win con, 1 Imperial Order. And so for the main deck, it is 40 cards, you guys. I just wanted the extra deck real quick. So this extra deck, again, there's no cherries target, so it's going to have all live monsters that you can actually summon. So 3 Hexia comes up in the grind game, and the 1 Prim Banshee. So basically the combo to get around Ultimate Falcon is to do, I believe it's to do, what is this? I'm trying to remember how they do it. If they do it, I don't remember how they do it, but however you get it to where, you know, this is pointing to something or whatever, you make this bigger than the Ultimate Falcon, so it's pretty good. Other than that, I don't think it comes up that much, but Hexia you won in the grind game. The Link ones, got the 1 Link Karibo, standard, 1 Clara and Rushka because of Village and because of Rivalry. The 1 Akashik, same thing. I think these are just cards you have to play because you have the ability to play Rivalry, the ability to play Village in the side deck, and this just opens up, you know, a lot more windows. And a card that I don't see a lot of people playing, but my friend Pete Navarro actually played and introduced me to was Wee Witch's Apprentice. So this card is actually really good. This card can actually help you get around Inspector Border. So in order to summon it, you need 2 dark monsters. So basically, you can make it off of like Link Karibo and your Multi-Faker, because that's your dark monster. So it helps you, you know, it boosts your monster by 500. So it helps you actually get over. It helps you get over your. It helps you get over the Inspector Border. So this card's actually really good. I like it a lot because all light monsters on the field, they lose 400. So this makes Inspector Border lose 400. So that's pretty good. Other utility cards, just nightmare cards. Phoenix, Unicorn, standard. I don't play Cerebus, but it's another card you can play if you don't want to play Wee Witch's Apprentice, but I like those. Ningirsu, because it's a good card. Bomber, I like Bomber or Bania in like certain situations. Now this card again, I might actually swap this back for Cerebus because we do have a lot of back row, so it can be a problem. But I feel like in certain matches you can actually just do this and like win the game because of it. I can't tell you how many times I've had these weird situations where I've had Bania and literally just resolved one trap, had no other back row, and literally summoned the multi-faker into a spot this points to, and then just blow up the rest of my opponent's back row. So it's iffy if you want to play it. I know some people play it, some people don't. Again, you could cut this for Cerebus. So it's just there as options, you guys. Just remember, this extra deck is like all about options. And then I play Borreload and Borrelsword because I figure, you might be able to summon them. Also, these are all cards you can summon off Waking the Dragon, which is definitely something we're side decking. So you want every option possible. I mean, if you summon this off of Waking the Dragon, you could just OTK your opponent. You could just get over problematic monsters. You can out of Borreload too. So I think it's pretty good. And the last card is the Waking the Dragon target, the Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. This card's really good against Pure, really good against Draco, really good across the board. And we are siding Waking the Dragon for sure. So I felt that this was a card you definitely want to include. But yeah, that is actually the deck, you guys. Very straightforward, to be honest. I just wanted to explain a lot of things for people who aren't familiar with Altergeist, but I think I only have one other Altergeist profile here on the channel, but yeah, these are just all the utility cards. You have the options to play. Again, you don't want to play any of these. You guys have the options. I highly suggest you try this out, though. When Pete introduced me to this card, I was just like shocked of its applications. Like, it's actually really good. So, and I mean, you're linking into Link Rebo most of the time, so why not get extra value? And yeah, like I said, in the side deck, cards like Inspector Border for the Mirror, cards like Magic Deflector, cards like Evenly Matched, cards like Waking the Dragons, those are all standard cards we play in the side deck. But I just wanted to present this version to you guys. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward. You guys are asking me what can you replace with Infinite Impermanence. Honestly, there is no self-trap that really replaces it. I guess you could try Mind Crush if you don't have Impermanence, but in all honesty, I feel Impermanence is a staple in this deck, particularly because of how much value it gets. But outside of that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. Let me know what you guys think of the shared rides in the main deck. It's been testing amazing, honestly, against all the pure strikers. So I feel it has applications against every matchup. So I think it's really good. I think Altergeist is another underrated deck. It always rears its head in the top cut, but I think people just always forget that it's a real deck. And I feel that if you do not prepare for it, you will pay the price because the deck is very scary, especially when they summon Marionette set 4, and you're just like, wow. Yeah, it happened, you guys. Trust me. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any suggestions, any things you would change to the deck, any other version you would like to see, like a Cherries version, so you can figure out all the targets or whatever, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to bring it to you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.